We're here with another episode of Before You Buy, that show where we give you some straight up gameplay and our first impressions on the latest games releasing. As usual, it's me, Jake Baldino, and today we're talking about Telltale's The Walking Dead, Episode 1 of the final season. That's what they're actually calling it. We always like to do this with Before You Buys for Telltale games. Like, we don't have the time or enough people to really go through every episode, but we like to at least check in with the start of every new entry of a game and take a look at where it's going, what's different, and how it performs. This has been hyped up to be the end of Clementine's story, whatever that may mean. Telltale is distributing this one pretty much traditionally on all major platforms. You can buy in and get Episode 1 now, Episode 2 on September 25th, the 3rd on November 6th, and the 4th on December 18th. These are subject to change, but it's nice to have those dates ahead of time. Like most first episodes of a Telltale episodic game, the first episode serves as an establishing episode more than anything, and that's especially the case here, whether you're into that or not. Clementine and AJ continue their journey together, now more aged and battle-hardened than ever for their age. And as is usually par for the course on Telltale sequels, the game does a good job somewhat of catching you up very quickly if you haven't played the other games. It glosses over a lot, like it's really quick, but it's still serviceable, and if for some reason you don't have a save file to continue with the previous games, you can of course make some quick decisions from the previous games that shape the story a little bit. It's really all contained in one thing. It's a clean way to both catch people up and make decisions if you didn't have a previous save, and I just really appreciate how well they often do this. The story starts off with a bang though, with a pretty incredible car scene. Where we are in this story, AJ and Clem are just venturing forth, always moving and just surviving by the skin of their teeth. AJ has gotten a little older, and while he definitely still comes across as a cute kid at times, he's a pretty hardened survivor who is pretty much desensitized to violence. That's an ongoing thing that The Walking Dead always explores. And while it sort of did it with Clem in previous games, AJ having his gun because he's a natural crack shot is an interesting character trait. It's different, especially when you have the hard conversation with him to always hang on to one bullet to kill yourself with. It's little interesting moments like this that actually kind of makes you feel like a parent. A lot of the decisions you make in this episode is you and how you deal with AJ as essentially his guardian. And I really appreciated the directions it kind of pushed you. The characters are mostly strong here, and that's good because you're introduced to a lot of them. The ones that they really make you care about are fairly complex, and character stuff and drama is the main focus of this whole episode. Like I said, it's all about building. It's clearly the first episode because here, AJ and Clem end up falling in with a small survivor community based out of a boarding school. All the survivors here are kids and teens left behind at the school when the disaster started. They've managed to organize and survive, and there's tension as you come in as outsiders. What is really cool is that it has elements that make it feel a little bit like Lord of the Flies or even the Goonies, or more especially for me, the Lost Boys gang from Hook. And I like that. It makes for an interesting group dynamic. Since they're all kids, it feels pretty different from the usual Walking Dead stuff. At first I thought it felt too different until I was suddenly just faced with horrific, realistic violence that reminded me, oh yeah, this is very much a Walking Dead game. And it is also because there are zombies in it. Thankfully, in this first episode, you do kill a lot of them. There's a new system in place that allows you to more freely move around the environment and hit zombies with traps or with one of two melee attacks, and it's fine, I guess. I'm gonna be honest, since this is a cinematic game, I'd rather just have them keep the combat more cinematic and interesting to watch, but that's really just personal preference, because it works fine here, I guess. It's just very, very simple. What I appreciated the most, though, is the look of the game. They really stepped it up, starting with New Frontier. The characters here are crisper and have way more moving details on their bodies, as well as finally animating a bit more naturally. Characters will lean against walls, look more convincingly happy, sad, and nervous, and it just makes a hell of a difference. The games also finally truly give off a comic book look, especially in light and shadows in the background. Shadows genuinely look like they're ink on a page, and I love that. I noticed a slight extra few moments of transitioning from scene to walking around gameplay that frustrated me here and there, just a second before you actually got control. But otherwise, it performed about as well as a Telltale game does, meaning sometimes it's a bit framey here and there, but nothing usually unplayable. Just note that the gameplay footage I recorded here is the PC version. And without spoiling anything, it does end on a great note. Things boil over multiple times, there are revelations, and plenty of grim moments throughout, as well as just a nice, good, old-fashioned horror scene that I didn't expect, but I really appreciated. I'm surprised it tackled a couple of pretty common Walking Dead themes, though. I'm still looking forward to seeing where they take the teenager your group dynamic stuff, because that's where this can feel really different and fresh and stand out, if they go with it. It's already getting to interesting levels, and I'm really hoping the choices made in this episode, particularly in the relationships with people, pay off in later episodes. Because right now in the game, it's less about killing or sparing someone or running or fighting. It's more about appealing to someone's humanity, sharing, and helping someone. That sounds lame as hell, I know, but in a world where zombies rule, you know it's gonna get way more complicated and way more messy real quick. But that's about it, really. It's fairly straightforward and about the usual length you'd expect from an episode. I'm really looking forward to the rest of the season, but I do enjoy these games quite a bit, especially just Clementine's whole story and arc. And of course, this is how a Before You Buy works. I give you some pros, some cons, and some personal opinions, so now I definitely want to hear yours down in the comments. Without spoiling, maybe if you did play the game, you can allude to some decisions you made, and if you did play it, or maybe if you watched it on YouTube, whatever, I just want to know what you're thinking, how you're feeling on this whole thing. Where do you think this story is going to go? You think Clementine's going to die? Do you think AJ is actually going to be a secret clone of Lee? That's definitely not the case, but I just wanted to mention it. I don't know, whatever. Let's talk about The Walking Dead, the final season. Hopes, dreams, expectations down in the comments. If you have any other questions for me though, be sure to hit me up on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Jake Baldino. But as usual, clicking the like button does really help us out. We do appreciate it. And if you are new, you should consider subscribing and clicking that little notification bell, because we put out videos every single day. But as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.